Morning, guys. It's about 2 minutes after 6. And just left the truck, headed out to drop into a different area today. This will be the same area where I wrote the article about the 3x3 that I kind of chased around last year. Maybe he's still out there and he got a little bigger. That'd be a plus. So there's a little 2-track trail here that I'm just going to hike along for about 3/4 of a mile. Excuse me. And then I'll drop off into this draw that feeds into a larger valley. And from that draw, I hope to do some glass and, hope to be set up before sunrise. The terrain that I'll be in today, I'll be moving through a lot of different valleys that kind of all feed into one another. So I'm not sure how much I'll be setting up the spotting scope and kind of doing more of the spot and stock thing. This will be, probably my furthest shot will be, maybe 300 yards at most. So I brought the 6.5 Grendel, more compact, lighter, easier to maneuver, and actually quicker to shoot in those closer kind of confines that the draws will be. There'll be lots of trees, and so yeah, I'll update you guys when I get down there. Coyotes are saying good morning. So when I hunt, I try to pick locations that are somewhat off the beaten path. They require a little bit of physical effort to get into. That obviously is going to reduce my competition from other hunters somewhat. But also, I can park my vehicle and hike in. If I can put some terrain between me and the area I'm going to hunt, that means I can get into the area more stealthily by hiking in. And if I do it under cover of darkness, as long as the wind is in my favor, which it is today, I can usually get in, I suppose, fairly undetected. I seem to have pretty good luck doing that. Alright, guys. I've made it up to the mouth of the valley that I'll be hunting in. I'm going to move probably another, I don't know, 1/4 mile, maybe. And then hook off into a draw that feeds into it, but it's about 6:20. So shooting light's gonna be about, I think about 7:10 this morning. So we got a little bit of time, just right to get down and get in position in the dark, and then wait for the light to come and see what's moving. Alright guys, it's getting a little bit lighter out. I'm right on the edge of that valley, headed towards. It's still pretty dark for filming. I'll take some low light photos. So what I'm going to start doing is, there's a draw right in front of me with 2 spurs that come out. I'm going to follow the spur on the right. It's got a lot of juniper trees on it. And I'm going to start slowly picking my way down. I want to get down towards the front edge of that spur because it kind of sticks out towards the center of the valley. I think it'll give me the best opportunity. And it also will be well within range with this 6.5 Grendel in case anything spotting scene, so I want to get down into the thicker trees. So I'm just going to slowly do that. Alright. Alright, I'm going to do a quick update. My plan to move down that draw wasn't a very good one. I've never been in that particular draw in the daylight, and it was a lot steeper going down than what I thought. So I decided to go back, and then I'm now on I told you I was going to go down the spur on the right. I'm on top of that spur. I'm a little higher up than what I planned, but I actually found a nice shelf that I think I'm going to set up on. It's a trade-off between staying up high where I can see a lot versus going down into the valley further, which does put me closer to any targets that might be down in the bottom, but it also restricts what I can see. So I feel like this spot is a pretty good compromise. I've got some good sagebrush and buckbrush for some concealment while I'm glassing. And it's actually a fairly level spot. Should I need to make a shot, I've ranged to the far side of the valley. It's about 350 yards, so it's within the ballistic range of my weapon. So I feel like, especially with such a good spot to shoot from, I could definitely get prone and bipoded here. And a 350-yard shot, prone and bipoded's not a big deal. Currently the wind's kind of been gusting about 5 to 10 miles an hour, and it'll be basically straight from right to left now. I'll have to definitely study a little bit. What's the wind doing further down in the valley? You know, I am up here in the wide open, and so it's probably blowing a lot harder up here than it is down there at the bottom. But I'll take some more pictures, add that to the video, and I'll show you when I'm all set up. Okay guys, so this is the spotting scope view. The sun is definitely not up yet, and I kind of wanted to just show you guys why glass quality matters in low light, because you're trying to gather every little bit of light you can. And so a lot of times that's where actually lower magnification does better for you than higher magnification. Here in a second, you know, you can see what you're seeing right now is a hillside about 350 yards away. It's got snow and brush on it. And what I'm going to do here in a second is actually zoom in, and you can tell just how much light gets restricted to your eye, because the more you raise the magnification, the smaller the exit pupil of the optic, which is less light reaching your eye, or in this case, the camera. And so high magnification doesn't always do you a lot of good in low light. And instead what you want is good glass quality and good glass size to gather the light and then to use it at low power. And that's actually why with my laser rangefinding binos, I went with the 8 power versus the 10 powers, because I knew I'd be using them in low light more than during the bright of the day. Okay guys, so like I said, I just got back from warming up behind that tree, and I sat down and looking across at that open area, I'd just seen a couple does go by, didn't get him on film, but then I got this buck on film, and he was way out there, about 905 yards. I could barely even tell he was a buck, honestly. One nice thing about setting up your camera to record on your spotting scope is you can video and then go back and review that video and zoom in on your phone and kind of see those finer details that are hard to see right when the action's happening. As you can see, this is actually a pretty decent whitetail buck. I figured that out after examining the video and zooming in. So I'm not always the best judge in the moment. And I think some of that is because in August and September, when I'm doing my early season scouting, the deer are still in velvet. So they look larger, but also I actually see some pretty large deer during that time of year that tend to go into hiding once hunting season comes around. So these more, I guess you might say, average sized deer, while they're still a good deer, they're not as big as what I'm usually seeing. So never mind the earthquake camera effect. Here the deer is just, he's moving his way along this ridge line about 750 yards away. And in the bottom right of the screen, you can see some treetops there, and that is a slough on the hillside that is all filled in with trees. And this ridge line that this deer is walking along is going to become kind of important in the future, because I don't think this is the same deer that I saw earlier that day. And I end up seeing more deer in that vicinity, as well as elk, sign, and many coyotes. So this is definitely a hub of activity, this little ridge line that I'm filming right now. And so eventually this buck, he kind of beds down. It looks like roughly in the kind of edge of that timber there on the top side of it. And I think what's interesting about recording and studying it later is you can kind of learn a little bit about the deer's habits. And if we look closely, the deer's coming into bed. We've got a large sagebrush there beside him. And he's also kind of in a low area, you might say a micro draw on the ridge line. And I think that gives him some excellent concealment from many different directions, especially the more common avenues of approach that most of the other hunters use. About a half hour after that last buck bedded down, I spot this guy. And I'm not sure if this is the same buck that I saw the first time, or if this is a different one. I'm not 100% certain. Basically, I'm watching, and he comes over and just starts thrashing on a sagebrush, which is kind of funny to watch. They just really beat the crap out of it. And then after a few minutes, he gets bored with the sagebrush and decides to pick on something his own size over here, and he kind of centers up on that small juniper tree there in the center. And I'm going to try and get him into better view. He's rubbing. That's what he's doing. A few minutes later, kind of an interesting thing happens here in a second. From the left side of the screen, you're going to see a black ball come in, and that's a magpie. He's going to land on this dead tree. And it's like he's warning the deer. Watch as the deer perks his head up, and the magpie actually tells him which direction to go here in a second. Magpie flies down to the right, and then shortly after, the deer heads the same direction. Now, I'm not a biologist, and I can't tell you for sure that's what's happened, but I think anybody that's ever been hunting in an area with magpies, it seems like as soon as you get in the area to start glassing, they start doing their squawking and flying, and definitely, flying over the top of you and squawking. And so I think they definitely work together, the animals. So that deer, he continues moving along that ridge line. There's kind of a trail there that runs along the spine of it. It's actually it's a path that I've walked on many times myself while I was scouting earlier in the summer. And he just kind of meanders and actually heads way back in, back into an area that I would still like to go back and get further into. And so this will be the last of the deer that I see while I'm glassing from this point. And at this point, I decide to glass for a little while longer. I don't see anything, and that's when I pack up my gear to move out and actually go patrol through the valley and see what I can see. So if you made it all the way through this video, I appreciate you watching, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the video or really anything else pertaining to Fieldcraft or my YouTube channel or any of my articles. So thank you for watching, and have a good day.